शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Sri Harinam Chintamani series. Yesterday we began with the verses of the discussion of Sri Harinam Chintamani, especially verses 2 to 9. And in that we discussed only 2 to 4 verses. And the reason being, although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorifying Haridas Thakur for his elaboration on the Nama Tattva, but we in our PowerPoint discussion uh, went into a very important topic of the Panch Samskar. And especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur's article way back in 1885, written in the Sajjana Toshini, about why, although these Vaishnava samskars are the best in the Aryan religion, but now because of the distorted natures of the practitioners, there is no transformation happening. And the reason being tapa. Tapa is not just austerity, tapa means also repentance for our past life before taking to Krishna consciousness. And how important it is to do this tapa, a sincere repentance, contrition, what it is called, or being remorseful. And we gave the example of Indra, who committed an offense to the Brajvasis. And although he came and asked forgiveness, he did not want to go through the austerity of going through that repentance. He said, "Don't punish me." And what happened? Again, he committed offense. When Krishna came with Satyabhama to the heavenly planets to give back actually the umbrella and the nose ring, which Sachi, I don't recollect his wife's name. had lost, was stolen. But he wanted to pick up the Parijat because he wanted to please Satyamama. And everything belongs to Krishna. But when he was picking up Parijat, Indra attacked Krishna. So if we don't do the sincere repentance, then the samskars, the impressions in the chitta, in the form of bad impressions, they repeatedly attack us and there is no transformation happening. So the tapa was the most important point which we discussed in our PowerPoint. And then the pancha samskars with, the chinna of the conch and the disc. And then there is nama. And then there is even the name is given. And then there is the Mahamantra which is given. And then there is the Vaishnava initiation where the Gayatri mantra is given. And then there is deity worship given, yagya. So these are the panch samskars. And devotees should have a clear understanding of this panch samskars. Why as sadhakas we are supposed to do pancha samskars, go through this pancha samskar purification? It is because we are not qualified like Haridas Thakur to 24 hours chant, 24 hours, do Shravan, the Bhagavad Marg. We need the Pancharatra ki Marg system for our polluted body and mind to get purified so that we can come to the mode of goodness and chant attentively and attain Krishna prema. So that's why our acharyas, right from Narad Muni till Srila Prabhupada, have given this system. We saw Prabhupada's one lecture where he says among the two, the Bhagavat is very strong, but Pancharatriki system is required. And how he analyzes Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu into the Bhagavat Marg, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atanavedanam into the Pancharatriki Marg. So that is what yesterday we saw. So let us now take from verses 5 to 7. Again, a small subsection, verses 5 to 7. 5 to 7 is what we will discuss today, again, further from Harinam Chintamani. Yesterday we saw this verses where Mahaprabhu glorifies him as the Acharya. And hearing from you, Nama Tattva, I am pleased. And anyone who hears from you, I am also very pleased with that person. And you are a Acharya. By your own Acharan, you are doing Prachar. Achar and Prachar. That is what Haridas Thakur was expert at. Sorry, this verse we have to take. Acharya, Achare, Acharya, Tumi, Prachare, Pandita, Tomara Charitra, Namaratne Vibhushita. Your actions are saintly. Achare. Achare means actions. Acharan. You are a learned teacher. Acharya to me. You are always ornamented by the priceless gem of the holy name. Namaratna Vibhushita. So our kanta should be Vibhushit with Namaratna. We all like to put bhushan and look beautiful. But the real beauty of the soul is to take the holy name. Namaratna Vibhushita. Tumara Charitra. So that is what is your character, that you are constantly decorated with the holy names on your tongue. The holy name is dancing on your tongue. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also there is a very similar verse where Haridas is glorified, that some people, they are very good in their conduct, but they don't preach. Some people preach, but they are not good in their conduct. But you, Haridas Thakur, you do simultaneously. Sanatan Goswami speaks about it. So I don't recollect the verse. It is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Achar and Prachar. So in the different stages of education, there are 4 levels. Sometimes it is said 3 from one angle from the Upanishads. Another angle in the Upanishads, it is said 4. So there is Aditi, Bodha, Acharana and Prachar. How many of you have heard this? Aditi, Bodh, Acharan, and Prachar. How many of you have heard this? None of you have heard. These are the 4 stages of education which we go through in our development of Krishna consciousness. This is there in the which Upanishads, I don't recollect. It is Brihadaranyaka Upanishads or Svetashwar Upanishads, I don't recollect. And or the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. I'll have to figure out from the slides, but it is there in some of the Upanishads. So Aditi means to read or to hear. We have to hear the philosophy. Bodha comes from the word buddhi. Bodha means to have an intellectual insight. Like sometimes, you get an inner light. Oh, abhi samajh mein aa gaya mere ko. You say, oh, it is like this. Yeah, now I see, you say, na? Now, when you say now I see, it's not that you're seeing, now I understand it. So when you hear the philosophy, many devotees just keep on hearing, but they don't spend time in what they have heard to understand it. What is that subject? So to get an intellectual insight is what is called as bodh, which comes also the buddhi and bodh are both same terms. And then there is acharan. Oh, now I've understood. So this is why we should, conduct ourselves like this. This is why. Oh, why should offer our obeisance from the left side to the deity? Because our heart is on the left side, and directly the mirror of the heart is where actually we through that we are seeing the Lord, not directly just only through the eyes. So I should offer my obeisance to the deity from the left side, facing the heart towards the deities, not from the right side. So like that, we do acharan and then prachar. Then I speak. So when I speak, because I am practicing what I am speaking, then that speech has potency. So achar and then prachar. So you do both acharan and prachar. Achare, acharya, tumi prachare pandita. In acharan, you are a great acharya. And in prachar, you are a great pandit. Very beautifully, ornamentally, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning this verse. Ramananda Shikhaila Mora Rasa Tattva, Tumi Shikhaila Mora Namera Mahatva. Ramanand taught me the truth of the rasas. Ramananda Shikhaila Mora Rasa Tattva. You have taught me the glories of the holy name. Tumi Shikhaila Mora Namera Mahatva. Ebe Bala Seva Aparada Ki Prakara Sunia Guchibe Jivara Chinta Andakara Chitta Andakara. Please tell me, Ebe Bala means to speak. What are the offenses in deity worship? Seva aprad ki prakar. When the conditioned soul will hear your words, Sunia Guchibe Jivera, the blinding darkness in their hearts will perish. Chitta Andakar. So this is the glory of hearing the Seva aprads. And because we are in ignorance, we commit these offenses. By hearing, we will not commit these offenses. And actually, our hearts will be illuminated. Like in the Gita, he says, Jnana Deepena Bhasvata, 10.11. Tesham eva anukampartam aham ajnanajam tama nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. Anda, the darkness which is there in the heart, which is covering our relationship with Krishna, and we are blinded, that darkness is removed. So similarly, hearing about the Seva Aprad has this effect. So these are verses from 5 to 7. We are just breaking this just to discuss the PowerPoints. So let us go to this section. Yesterday we had a long discussion on the verses where Panch Samskar was discussed. So there are few points in this, not many. Srila Haridas Thakur was always of perfect character, and thus he taught the world by his example. Charitra, his charitra was perfect, and he thought by his conduct, acharan. Always chanting the holy name, the Lord resided in his heart and used him as a vehicle for further movement. He spoke the science of devotional service so that followers of the Vaishnava path could understand how to love the Lord. In this way, both beginners and advanced spiritualists learn from his instructions what to do and what not to do in devotional life. Pravritim cha, nivritim cha. Please listen carefully as Srila Haridas Thakur now elaborates on further offenses. So after the Nam Aprad, Seva Aprad, he is going to elaborate. Text 8 and 9. Now, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has spoken like this, please tell me about the offenses in deity worship. Haridas Thakur speaks. So that is in 8 and 9. Haridas bole se sevak jana jane ami naam ashraya thaki janibe ke mane. Haridas Thakur said, Haridas bole, the servants of the deity know these offenses. Say, sevak jana jane. Those who are doing deity worship, they know about the seva prads. I have taken the shelter of the holy name. Ami naam ashraya thaki. How can I know these offenses? Jani be ke maine. How will I know? Now, why Haridas Thakur is saying this? Was he following the Bhagavad Marg or the Pancharatriki Marg? Anyone would like to answer? Raise your hands. Was he following the Bhagavad Marg or the Pancharatriki Marg? Haridas Thakur. Maya Narsimha Prabhuji. Okay. First, Maya Narsimha Prabhu has raised. I think others, I'll only have to ask, otherwise they don't participate. Yes, Maya Narsimha Prabhu.
Prabhuji, it is Bhagavata Vidhi, Prabhuji.
He was following the Bhagavad Vidhi because he was a liberated soul, was chanting 3 lakh names right from his childhood. And he was very, very young. So 3 lakh names chanting, can imagine. He was completely on the liberated platform. So for conditioned souls, the Panchratiki Marg is very much recommended for the purification so that ultimately we can come to the point of chanting Hare Krishna. So I don't know about it. He's saying you have to the pujaris who serve the deity, they know about it. How can I know about these offenses? So Haridas Thakur is not having knowledge about Seva Prad. Let us see. Now, what does Haridas Thakur say? Tabu tavagya ami langi bare nare yaha bolibe taha bolibe vistari. Still I cannot jump over your order. Tabu tavagya. It is your order that you speak on Seva Aprad, you have told me. Ami langi bare nari. I am not going to transgress that order. Now, how is Haridas going to speak? What you make me say, Yaha bolibe taha bolibe vistare. I will say with great detail. So Haridas Thakur is going to speak because inspired by the Lord, because you have ordered. Now you will give me the inspiration to speak. Even in the Rai Ramanand conversation, we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inspires the topmost rasa tattva to be spoken by a Shudra. In a sense, if you see, Ramanand Rai was coming, he's a Grahastha first of all, and then he's coming from this Shudra background. But the topmost rasa tattva, he made him an instrument through which to speak. And then when the discussion went on, then Aage kaho aur, still speak more. Oh, this is beyond my, I cannot fathom, this is beyond, way above my head. But still, I'm just like, just like the veena is played, and the player uses very dexterously his fingers and brings the music out. So you are like that player and I am like that instrument. I will, the sound will come up just as how you play. So similarly, Haridas Thakur is in that mood of surrender here, and I will speak, he says. Okay, let us see some of the important points here. Since Haridas was in his teenage years, he spent his time chanting 300,000 holy names daily. Sorry, that is 3 lakh names. That is around approximately 192 rounds. Being in the association of the holy name, he practiced his devotion inwardly, and this did not leave much time to engage in external devotional service such as deity worship. So he was able to go inwards in his internal meditation and contemplation. How do I go inwards? Because you have to be very pure at heart to go inwards. But we are bhaya. We have bhaya drishti. Our consciousness is locked in the material world. So to take the consciousness which is locked in the material world, to take it inwards, it requires a lot of efforts. It requires a lot of purity. And that is why we do meditation, external meditation. That is meditating on the deity, meditating on the deity forms of the Lord, seeing the pictures of the Lord, and everything, because the whole universe is also in the form of a Vishwarup. Idam hi Vishwam Bhagwan Ivetaro. Narad Muni tells to Vyasdev in the first canto, 5th chapter. So this universe is also like a form of the Lord, and external like that meditating, our heart will get purified. The rajas and tamas will get pacified, and slowly the chitta will become purified. So in the external devotional service, such as deity worship, is very much required for sadhakas, where he was doing inward devotion, internal meditation. He used to go into internal meditation in his chanting. In a solitary place, Haridas Thakur chanted lakhs of holy names each day. And even though he is here in saying that he does not know much about offenses in devotional service, seva prad, still, because of his exalted position, he was an authority in all forms of worship, as the knower of all fields of activity. Sri Krishna was alive in his purified heart. So Krishna is going to speak through him. So the knower of all fields of activity. So what does this mean? The knower of all fields of activity. Anyone? What does this mean? The knower of all fields of activity. Virendra Yadav Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam. Prabhuji,
Yes.
there is a verse, Kshetragya.
Yes.
There it is mentioned.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
don't recollect the verse, but it is there.
Yes. You don't recollect the verse, but what is the meaning?
Kshetragya, Prabhuji, there are two Kshetrag. One is our self, soul, which knows only about individual body, and whereas Kshetrag, another Kshetrag, who is the Lord Krishna himself, who is pervading all over. I mean, he's pervading throughout everywhere. He's pervading. He knows in and out everywhere.
Yeah. So one should, sadhakas should regularly read the Bhagavad Gita, and they should know which verse is where. 13.3. Kshetragya chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. There is one Kshetragya in the previous verse mentioned, that idam shariram kaunteya kshetra iti abhidhiyate. This body is called as kshetra. Etadyo vettitam praho kshetragya. One who knows this body, knower of the body, is kshetragya. That is the Atma. And then Krishna speaks about another kshetragya. Kshetragyam chapi. There is another kshetragya. Mam vidhi. It is I. Krishna is saying it is I. It is me. Vidhi, you should know. But sarva kshetreshu bharata. He is all knower. That's why one of the names of the Lord is omniscient. He is all knowing. And Kshetra Gayor Jnanam, one who knows the Kshetra and the Kshetragya, he is having knowledge. Yat Tad Jnanam Matamama. That means he is in knowledge, and that is my opinion. So Kshetragya, because the Kshetragya, now when Haridas Thakur, when in this presentation it is mentioned, it is Kshetragya, the second Kshetragya who's Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, that is being referred here. Continuously chanting, he was actually performing Bhava Seva, unadulterated, pure devotional service to the Lord within his mind. We shall learn more about Bhava Seva in the coming text of this chapter, and even in 15th chapter we'll come to know. But before I mentioned, in Raganuga Bhakti, Bhava Seva begins, but for that the mind should be pure. And in Sadhana Bhakti, we purify the mind and the body by engaging in deity worship. So it's very, very important that the Pancharuti Vidhi of deity worship, especially for everyone, it is recommended, whether they are grahasthas or brahmacharis. For a moment, Haridas Thakur was speechless, but as he was acting as an instrument for the Lord to broadcast the glories of the holy name, Haridas took up the order of the Lord and spoke as follows. So he started speaking now. Okay. So now Haridas Thakur speaks. Section text 10 to 14. There are two sections, 10 to 14. We will take them together. Seva Aparadha Sankhya, the number of offenses in deity worship. Anyone knows what is the number of offenses in deity worships? How many offenses are there in deity worship? How much is the list? How big is the list? Anyone knows? Yes. Yes, Maya. Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Yes.
Actually, 64 items are there in deity worship. So maybe offenses also nearby.
No. That's a wrong way of understanding it. There are 64 limbs of devotional service,
Yes.
64 angas of devotional service, and one of the angas is, archanam, deity worship. And within that deity worship, there can be seva aparadhas. So this is how we should understand. Okay, there is Maya Narasimha Prabhuji. Yes.
Prabhuji, it is 64, Prabhu.
Yeah, 64. How did you come to the 64 calculation?
In Nectar of Devotion, it is mentioned, no, Prabhuji.
What? What is it mentioned?
Seva Pradas.
Seva Prasa mentioned. It comes to 64, the number?
Yes, Prabhuji, I think so.
No. 64 angas are there. Let us count today and see how much it is. We are getting confused with the Seva Apras and the 64 limbs of devotion, I feel. Okay, let us come to that. Let us see. Seva Aparadha hoy Ananta Prakar Shri Murti Sambandhe Sab Shastrera Vichar. As I was saying, no? They are related to deity worship, the Seva Apradhas. These are not the angas of devotion. There are numerous kinds of offenses in deity worship. Shri Murti Sambandhe Shastrera Vichar. All scriptures have described it. Ananta Prakar. There are numerous kinds, he's saying. Okay. Kono Shastra Dvaitrimshat Aparadagani. O jewel of all virtues, Gunamani. Kono Shastra Panchashat Gane Gunamani. O jewel of all virtues, Gunamani. Some scriptures count 32 offenses. Kono Shastra Dvaitrimshat Aparadagana. Gana means to count. So in some Shastras, there are 32 offenses listed. Now I think devotees are clear that these aparadhas are with respect to one anga. That is among the 64 angas, that is deity worship. In that, there are 32 offenses. These 32 offenses are given in the Padma Puran. In the Padma Puran, there is the mention of the 32 offenses. And then, Kono Shastre Panchashat Gane. And in some other scripture, it is count as 50. So how much it is? 50 plus 32, around 72 offenses. Okay. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur analyzes these offenses, which he is going to enumerate, or he's going to list them, in fact. There is no much further, elaborate explanation of each of the offenses, like namaprad. Each namaprad was dealt in each chapter. There is no much. It is just he's going to list them, but he analyzes these different kinds of seva apradhs into four kinds of offenses, four categories. Chaturvidha, four kinds of offenses. Seva aprad chatur vidhadi prakare vibhaga karena buddhagana shastra dware. Referring to the scriptures, shastra dware, the wise Buddha divide these offenses, vibhaga karena, into four kinds. Chaturvidadi prakare se aparad. Okay, what are the four kinds? Shri Murti Sevakanishta Katagulitara, Shri Murti Stapakanishta Aparada Ara, Shri Murti Darshakanishta Arakati Poya, Sarvanishta Aparada Kati Vidahaya. These offenses are offenses in serving the deity. So while serving the deity, you can commit some kinds of seva aprad. Then offenses in establishing the deity. So when the new temple is opened, that time the deity installation is there. So this is a one-time affair. So while installing the deity, we should see that we don't commit any offenses with respect to the deity installation. So this is a one-time, and those pujaris who are doing the deity installation should take care. But regularly, all devotees should take care of, if they are pujaris who are doing deity worship, they should see that they don't commit offenses in deity worship. Then, Shri Murti Darshaka Nishta Ara Katipoy, offenses in gazing at the deity. Now, many might say here, oh, I'm not second initiated. It's not a problem. Even if you are practicing Krishna consciousness, you can have deities at home and start doing deity worship first. Secondly, even if you don't have deities at home, you come to the temple to take darshan of the deities, you can also commit offenses while taking darshan. Offenses in gazing at the deity, it is. And then miscellaneous offenses to the deity. So there is a footnote here. These are the offenses in deity worship. Some offenses apply to devotees directly engaged in deity worship. Other offenses apply to devotees who establish the deity. Other offenses apply to deities who gaze, devotee who gaze at the deity. Other offenses are offenses in general. It is not easy to know all these offenses. So it's not so easy to know these offenses. We will discuss how to become aware of these offenses and avoid these offenses. First of all, the list is huge. How I'll remember all these questions will come. But don't worry, let us first list them and then we will go one by one. Okay, let us see now some points from the PowerPoint. The number of offenses in deity worship and the four kinds of offenses. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned that there are four kinds of offenses: offenses in the serving the deity, offenses in establishing the deity, gazing the deity, and there are miscellaneous offenses. Seva means service. So if one is committing seva aparad, one is committing offenses within one of the four classifications as listed above. It is not only the pujari that can make offenses to the deities. There are so many offenses that when we committed, and these are numbered as 50. So there is 51 list, and another 32 is also there. We saw that. There are a number of these 50 that pertain to the person who is simply taking darshan of the deities, like for instance, the offense of talking before the deity. Now he's not a pujari who is doing the deity worship, but he has come to take darshan. And right in front of the deities, instead of taking the darshan and offering prayers to the Lord, he's talking some mundane thing in front. And nowadays, the worst of the things is to, a mobile rings, and right in front of the deity, you start speaking on the mobile. It is not a healthy attitude. In fact, first of all, you should keep your mobile in silence when you're taking darshan in front of the deities. or even if it rings, then you go side somewhere away, and then you can talk softly and not loudly in front of the deities. So all this, these are seva apradhs. Devotees who perform service do so to the deity who is the manifested representation of the Lord. It is called as the Archa Vigraha, not Archi Vigraha. It is Archa Vigraha, sorry. Archa Vigraha. Seva Aprad is different to the offenses against the holy name, which is called Nam Aprad. So there is Seva Aprad and Nam Aprad. We are doing offenses to the holy name, that's why it's called as Nam Aprad. When the offenses are done to the Seva of the deity worship, it is called as Seva Aprad. However, the word Aprad is common in both. They should be avoided. You should avoid these Seva Aprads. Okay, the list is going to now start. Let us just go through the list very, very quickly. 32 offenses in deity worship. Now, let me take the, from the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu directly. I can show you the list so that, yeah, 1 second. Because Rup Goswami also in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu has given the entire list of 32 offenses. I will not read the verse. Yes, so first of all, many devotees got confused between the 64 limbs and the Seva Aprad. So let me first show you the Angas of devotional service. These are the Angas, this is there in here. From here onwards, you can see marking the body with Vaishnava symbols, Vaishnava Chinna, Nam Akshar, wearing garlands, dancing before the deity, rising up to see the Lord, performing Archana. Within this performing Archana, there are these 32 and plus that 50 list of Seva Aprad. So I hope devotees are clear about it. And these are Angas of devotional service, performing Japa, taking Krishna Prasadam, touching the deity, then seeing the Aarti and the festivals, seeing the deity. Within the seeing the deity, we saw that category that he is not doing the Aarti, but he is come to take darshan and he can also commit Seva Aprad. So like that, these 64 limbs are there. And then the 5 potent limbs. Now let us go to, okay, where is the listing? I'm just, okay, yes. The list is 32, yes. You can see now, Seva Aprad to be avoided from the Padma Puran. The list is 32. So I will just read it out. Entering the Lord's temple in a palanquin or with shoes. Now, this is traditionally because the king is to come in the morning and take the darshan, and they is to come, king or the queen or the royal family is to come in the palanquin. So how in today's time we can commit this offense? Anyone knows, can raise their hand? This Seva Aprad, how we can do this? What is the likelihood that we might commit this Seva Aprad? Coming in the palanquin. Yes, Amal Bhakta Rani Mataji, yes.
Prabhuji, by coming in the car.
You can come in the car, what's the problem? You can come in the car. There's something more fine to it. You read this, entering the Lord's temple in a palanquin or with shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not saying that, you cannot come in a palanquin near the temple. You have to enter the Lord's temple in a palanquin. Okay, there is Satanam Chaitanya Prabhuji. Yes. 1 minute. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but just my observation.
Yes.
I've seen people arriving at temple in the car and they will take darshan sitting in the car itself. They will not even come out. That's one observation I did. And
yes.
Second thing is,
if just on the road, there is a temple door and you can have the darshan. You mean like that, right?
yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can.
Okay. So
Second observation is that they will wear their rather remove the shoes outside, just to make sure the shoes is not stolen. They will try to keep it as near to the temple as possible, like just right to the next door, something like that.
That's all okay, I feel. That's all okay. Okay. This is a little fine thing, but okay. Niranjan Prabhuji has raised his hand. I would like to hear him speak. Yes, Niranjan Prabhuji. Yes. Yes, Niranjan Prabhu. I think. Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, literally, it may not be the exactly as it is mentioned in this aparadha, but it could also mean one may enter with one's entourage, like one with one's followers in a pompous way, and he may uh, portray himself as some kind of a very superior person. So that could also be equated with coming with palanquin, Prabhu.
Yes, your understanding is correct, but here the specific point is, entering the Lord's temple in a palanquin. Yes. Now, yes, what you say is, even the king is to come in the palanquin to take the darshan. But do you know what? Be ahead of the temple, the palanquin, the king is to get down from the palanquin. In fact, his kirita as a king, what he's wearing, that kirit, he is to keep it down and now enter in the mood of a servant to go and take darshan. So taking the palanquin right in front of the temple and getting there down to go and take darshan, that is still in the king's mood. I am the king. Real king is Krishna. So this was the Vedic culture which the kings is to follow. In today's time, sometimes some temples of ISKCON, because all temples are not from built in the Vedic traditional culture, they are right in front of the door, and right in the front of the temple door where the road is there, the car is parked. They get down from the car and straight away walk into temple. No, we should never park the temple car in front of the temple. You have to either take it backside or way ahead. So that is what it means in today's times, entering. Yeah. So wearing a hat and a goggle, yes, that also, it's a mood of, but hat for us is, I told the kirit, the king is to take the kirit out. He's not the real king. He's gone. He's just like a servant. So that is what is the first seva aparad. So this we should be a little conscious. Of course, what Satanand Chaitan Prabhu said, we should, yes, that kind of mentality where, let my shoes not be stolen, so I keep it somewhere near the temple. It's better to keep it in a. And in fact, we should also wash our feet before entering the temple. Wash our hand and feet, in fact. And that provision, especially in today's temples, especially in ISKCON temples, is not there. But in the traditional Vedic temples, it is there everywhere. So we should provide this facility. Many of the temples I have seen now, they have a shoe stand where the devotees do seva and then they wash their hands. But they should wash their legs also when they enter the temple. So this is very important etiquette we should do. Then next, not observing the festivals of the deity is aparad. Not offering obeisances in front of the Lord, that is also aparad. Some people, come like this. These ministers and all, they come like this. And they don't even, they are like, like this. They don't bow down also. So this is a aparad, in fact. Offering prayers to the Lord in an unclean state or having eaten without washing properly. So this is also very carefully to be observed, that you had your prasad and without washing your mouth, hand and feet, you come and, you offer prayers. It is not recommended. Offering respect with one hand, circumambulating in front of the deity, of front of the Lord. This is also one seva aparad. You should not, I see it's very much in South Indian temples, they hold their ears and then they just spin around, and that is actually a seva aparad. In fact, you can circumambulate. If there is a provision, the temple where you can go around, you should do that pradikshina. It is It is part of an anga of devotion, but circumambulating in front of the Lord is not allowed. Spreading the legs in front of the deity. You spread your legs, and the legs are facing the deity. That is a severe offense, Sivaprad. Clasping the hands on the knees in front of the deity, like this, clasping the hands. Lying down in front of the deity. Eating in front of the deity. So when after you take the darshan, at the exit door, there is prasad provided or charnamrit provided. You should humbly take it, go a little side, and then have it. It's very important. Telling lies in front of the deity, speaking loudly in front of the deity, especially with the mobile, gossiping in front of the deity, crying in front of the deity, quarreling in front of the deity, fighting in front of the deity, thanking others in front of the deity, saying cruel words in front of the deity. If you have any doubts about any of the angas, I'm just going through the list, then you can raise your hand. Covering oneself with a blanket in front of the deity, criticizing others in front of the deity, praising others in front of the deity. Yes, there's one question. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, crying in front of the deities. There are a lot of these, a lot of people, they say you can, openly cry in front of the deities and you can just bear your heart out. So isn't that a little contradictory?
No, crying, this especially when one is affected by lamentation because somebody has left the world. That is why it is mentioned that somebody near and dear in your family has left the world. You should not come to take darshan for a long time because of bodily consciousness, you are affected very much. And you're lamenting, why Lord you did this, why did you take, like that, these kind of shokadi, these are material emotions, and one should not come like this in this kind of mood to take darshan of the deity. So that is recommended. And because of too much distress, when one is in distress, he starts lamenting, and when he is in that lamentation state, he might blame the Lord, because of you I'm in trouble and all. So this kind of attitude and mood is not right to come in front of the deity and express like that. So that's why it is not recommended. That's why that is one of the seva aparadhs. The second one, not observing the festivals of the deity. Yeah, there are various festivals associated with the deity. All the Vaishnava festivals are there. If you don't observe them, then it is a seva aparadh. I hope it is clear, Mataji, for you. Why crying?
Yes, Prabhuji, on a material platform, if you cry, then that is kind of an offense. But there are a lot of these devotionally, when people are connected, when they just, they come in.
Usually, what is my observation, frankly speaking, usually that devotion is not a high level of devotion where there is bhava and prema, where out of prema you're crying. Somebody who's on the exalted platform, he has the spiritual purity to hold himself, those emotions internally. He is having that spiritual potency by which, because of his exalted nature. These are sometimes emotions, these are sentiments, again coming from the material platform itself. It is called as rati abhas. It's just a dim reflection of some attraction you might feel, and it might happen. But usually because of sentimentalism, it can happen. And, that should be not taken so much seriously. But regularly, if it is happening affair because of sentimentalism, then, it is not so good. Genuine devotees who are on exalted platform, they hold their emotions. Now, Srila Prabhupada was such a Mahabhagavat, and only in his 11-12 years where he was preaching from 1965 to 1977, he went into such an internal ecstasy while chanting Jai Radha Madhava in Mayapur, that he went into an internal state, and the whole class where all the devotees were sitting, they were just stunned and still. And everyone did not know what to do. For few minutes, they were just in a state of like, like they were like stunned. And then one devotee just started chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and tears were rolling from Prabhupada's eyes. So these are very high state of ecstasy, which, somebody expresses. And I don't think so devotees are at that level where they come to take darshan and they express these. But these are basically, they are based on sentiment, emotions, So this should be avoided, in fact. Otherwise, it gives a wrong impression to others also. And sometimes one can do this just to show how exalted I am also. So these are all, things which need to be taken care.
Yes. Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Please don't type your questions. Please raise your hands and ask questions, because then things become clarified what exactly you're trying to ask the question. Use the chat box exclusively if the audio is not good. Otherwise, avoid it. Okay, there is one more question by Sunita Mataji. I just thought I'll just list the offense and finish the class, but there are a lot of questions. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, these are general questions, so sorry.
No, you have to ask questions with respect to the discussion.
Yes.
But is it
Prabhuji,
related?
actually, yes,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
then
It
please.
happens sometimes that we are very much attached to the deities, temple deities, and because of this lockdown and all, people couldn't visit temples. And when the lockdown is open, we just rush into the temple, and tears flow automatically by seeing the deities. So, what is that kind of crying? That is also not expected or allowed.
It can, if it is happening naturally, then nothing too much to worry about it, and nothing, just it is a natural event. Then why it has happened is basically, this lockdown has helped us to advance in Krishna consciousness, because we could not have darshan of the deities. We were feeling the separation from the deities. And actually, this was a benediction in one sense. You can say that separation we were feeling so many months that we have not had darshan of the deities. And when the lockdown opened, that separation, we could have a darshan of the deities, and maybe that emotions came. If it is happening naturally, then it is okay. Not to be taken a serious thing. It's not, it's not, I told you, it's not a bhava and prema. It is just an abhas, mere reflection. And that is purifying in one sense, we can say. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Yeah. Satanand Chaitanya Prabhuji has a question. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, just a clarification. Now, when we talk about deities, we are not only talking about Radha Krishna deities, we are also talking about Gaunita deities as well, right? True?
Yeah, all deities.
Okay.
All deities which are there. We all, in South India, there are so many temples.
Okay.
There is Ranganath, there is all deities.
Okay. And second, Prabhu, in South India, there is a tradition prevail that whenever there is a birth in the house, a new child born, again for 14 days, people refrain from going to the temple.
Yes.
So I did not understand the logic of that. If you can just.
Yes. See, when the, when the mother gives birth to the child, the umbilical cord connection is cut. Traditionally, now surgery happens, and that period, both the husband and the wife and the child, because for that reason, it is mentioned that 14 days one should not go and take darshan, because umbilical cord connection is cut, and that is why it is recommended that we should not go and take darshan for a few days. And even for Mataji's, it is mentioned that when their period is there, they should not go to take darshan deities. It is there. So these things are there.
Okay. Prabhu, can I ask just one more Seva Aparadha related question? Actually, when I was in Balram Desh, after having prasadam, we went out and we washed our hands. And then one senior devotee told me that, okay, Prabhu, after having prasad, please go home. Don't go back to the deity room again. I did not ask him why, but I just walked off. But that question has somewhere remained in my mind.
Yes,
why
yes.
is it told?
Okay, this is a very important aspect that first thing is, the Vedic culture is very, very fine and refined, you can say. That, in fact, before we take prasad, it's very difficult to follow in the city that we should actually wash our hands and legs. And traditionally, if you see, if you go to a village, now when some guest comes in, outside they give water to wash the hands and legs, and then you enter inside. What to speak in the temple, even the house when you visit, you have to wash your hands and legs. They are given. Okay, so you wash and come inside. That's how we can avoid this COVID contamination. Also, keeping also clean. And then when you take prasadam, then you wash your hands, legs, and mouth. In fact, you have to rinse the mouth many times. And this rinsing of the mouth gives an indication to the body. It gives a command to the body, okay, my food intake is over now. Now you can start working on it. The mixing can start. Pachan Kriya can start. So after you have rinsed the mouth and taken some spices for digestion, then you should not have anything. You should not have anything because the digestion is going on. If you take something in, then the digestion which is happening, that will get stopped and it will start working on the digesting the new food which you have taken in. That's why at least 2-3 hours you should not take anything. Then water can be taken after some time. Usually Ayurveda says after 1 hour, because digestion is happening, you need some water to digest also. Just like the grinding mortar, while turning it around, chutney when you're making, you put some water also so that it can nicely make a paste. So similarly, water is required so that the grinding happens nicely, the digestion happens. Now, what happens also is that sometimes a belch comes in, burp, what we call. So it is an offense to burp in front of the deity. And this happens usually after we take food, after we take prasad. So that's why it is recommended for some period, at least half an hour, 45 minutes. We should not go back to the temple to take darshan because we might burp in front of the deity, and that is seva aparadh. Did you get it?
Haribol, yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
It will come in that Vara Puran list 50 offenses. I thought we'll just cross through this offenses, but so many questions. Okay, good in one sense. Now, using vulgar language in front of the deity. What to speak in front of the deity? You should not speak vulgar language at all. Human consciousness is so much degrading. I can't speak about it. It's so sad to hear that animals are sometimes better than a hog or a dog, because by not speaking, they are not degrading their consciousness, they are elevating their consciousness, because slowly evolution of consciousness will happen and they'll go to higher species. But humans, just by speaking vulgar language, they are degrading themselves to the level of dogs and hogs for their next life. They're preparing their bodies for the next life. So this vulgar language is, because of the modern culture and simple things like even addressing our parents, dad, mom, all this, all short forms. Even in our ISKCON, everything has become like PAMO. What is PAMO? Anyone knows what is PAMO? Yeah, Sunita Mataji. Yeah, what is PAMO?
Please accept my humble obeisances.
Yeah, please accept my humble obeisances. They don't write the full letters only. They don't have patience to write nowadays. And nowadays, because of WhatsApp, everyone is offering the dandvats in the WhatsApp, and nobody is offering physically dandvat at all. We have stopped performing the austerity of the body of offering dandvats. So that is, how subtle the conditioning can go, that we keep on repeatedly offering obeisances on the WhatsApp dandvats, and then we'll forget physically offering dandvats. So this is how psychologically things work, and we have to be very, very careful. Passing air in front of the deity, this is one thing we have to work on. And that's why sometimes after taking prasad also, we should not enter the deity room. Offering less items when capable of offering more. Eating food without offering it. Not offering seasonal fruits to the deity. That is also sevara prad. Offering the deity what is offered already to someone else. Sitting with one's back to the deity. So how much careful we should be, even while hearing the lecture, if it is in temple hall, we should be very careful about it. Addressing others in front of the deity. Praising oneself in front of the deity. Being silent in front of the guru. Criticizing the deity. So this will happen if you're crying because of lamentation, which we discussed here. Amal Bhakta Rani Mataji had asked. We might cry, criticize the deity. Yes, there are questions. Hare Krishna. Yes, Amal Bhakta Rani Mataji.
Being silent in front of Guru, what does that indicate?
Being silent in front of Guru means it is actually the duty of the disciples that whenever he immediately sees the spiritual master, he should glorify the spiritual master. And the best way to do is that we, we chant his pranam mantras and we offer obeisances to the spiritual master. We offer obeisances to the spiritual master. But the standard etiquette is moment when we see the spiritual master, we should glorify him. We should glorify him. And this principle, you see it in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a universal principle. Now, Shaunakadi rishis saw Sut Goswami coming. In the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, it is there. And they gave him a seat and they glorified him in few verses. And then they began asking questions. 4, 5, 6, first canto, first chapter, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 4, they welcome him and give him an asana. And 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, Sut, you're learned in the Vedanta. And you have got the mercy of a spiritual, your qualities are your snigdha. And the spiritual master has imparted the confidential instructions to you. Many of the verses glorify Sut Goswami. And then in the 9th verse, they start asking questions. Now, Sut Goswami replies to the answers of the sages by first glorifying his spiritual master. That is in the 2nd chapter, verses 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3. And then 4 is the general prayer, Narayan Namaskrityam. So he prays. So like that, you see everywhere in the Bhagavatam, this principle is there. It's a universal principle. So it is an etiquette that moment we see the spiritual master, we should glorify the wonderful qualities of the spiritual master. At least we do the pranam mantra. And today's culture doesn't allow us to openly glorify, and it might be seen. So that's why in our heart and in our mind, through our words, internally, we can do that glorification. And we should, in fact, it is an etiquette that we should first glorify the spiritual master and then ask questions. And the spiritual master also prays to his spiritual master before answering. So like that, that is a principle which has to be followed. I hope it is clear, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay, Shatadanya Chaitanya Prabhuji. I never thought that so many questions will be there about each of these seva apradhs. Yes.
Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhu, this offense number 24, offering less items when capable of offering more.
Yes.
The impression given is simple living and high thinking. So,
yes.
So I didn't understand this, Prabhu. If you could please
Simple
explain.
living and high thinking is for us, not for the Lord. It is not for the Lord. So, in fact, Prabhupada said that the best of the items, like Krishna, he's very young. And, when you make puris, you might eat 4 puris. Prabhupada said 16 hot puris should be offered. And we offer what is the Rajbhog. Yes, we offer the Rajbhog to the Lord in the afternoon. But that Rajbhog is meant for the Lord. It is not meant for the inmates in the ashram to have Rajbhog. Rajbhog is especially meant to the Lord And when it is offered to the Lord, the prasad is not to be had by the inmates actually. It is for the guests who come to the temple, especially the new guest. And they, when they have the prasad, they will get the mercy of the Lord and they'll get connected. So this is the principle. Now in homes, those who are wealthy, those who are, they should offer the best of the items. But again, they can, have it that, for the guests who come to the home, and they can have simple. So this is to be what to be followed by us. Is it clear, Roji?
Okay, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Reena Mataji, yes. I will have to stop here because it's already time up. I have to list it out. I'll finish the listing of 32. Yes, there was Reena Mataji who had a question. Yes.
हाँ, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। एक्चुअली हम लोग जब मंदिर जाते हैं तो ऐसे ब्रह्मचारी को हम लोग दंडवत देते हैं। तो जैसे कभी ऐसे होता है कोई ब्रह्मचारी इज नॉट इन फिजिकल स्टेट के, तो वो क्या होता है जनरली वो भी वापस हमको दंडवत करते हैं। तो फिर ऐसे लगता है कि हम दंडवत करें इसलिए वो उनको भी झुकना पड़ रहा है, दैट इज नॉट, उनकी फिजिकल कंडीशन इतने अच्छे नहीं है। तो एट दैट टाइम व्हाट वी कैन डू, जस्ट मतलब ऐसे जिसे दंडवत प्रणाम करके हल्का सा झुक के उनको प्रणाम करें कि कैसे?
Yes. So very important question. The question is that sometimes, for the brahmacharis, we offer dandavats, but the brahmachari is not keeping well. And
हाँ,
if we offer dandavats to them, then he might also bend down to offer dandavats. So it is not good. What do we do? So here is a very important principle: Desha Kala Patra. Everything has to be done based on the time, place, and circumstances. General etiquette is that those who are, madhyam adhikaris, who are expert in bhajan, we should offer dandavats to them. We should offer pranams to them. In fact, we should offer in our mind pranam to those who take the name of Krishna even once. And those who are uttam adhikaris, we should offer full dandavats and serve wholeheartedly to them because their heart is very pure. So this is the general etiquette. Now, based on the time, place, and circumstances, yes, if they are not keeping good health, and if we offer obeisances, they might also have to take the trouble to offer obeisances. So we should be sensitive to these things, and accordingly we'll have to act. So the real thing is what is in the heart. In my heart, I want to offer full pranams, but if I do that, it is not good. So that is why I offer just physically, not the complete pranam, but in my heart I can offer. Who can stop us in our heart to do that? So that is the most important. Krishna is bhavagrahi janardhan. So Krishna can understand that, and like that we should do it. Now I'll give you my personal experience. I was in Delhi temple and with a very senior devotee, and we he told me, let us go to the Govinda restaurant to have prasadam because we were hungry and we had a lot of seva to do and we needed something to have some energy, and we are already late for the temple prasad. So when we went in Govinda and we sat, Gopi Parandan Prabhu came there, and I just could not stop myself to offer a full dandavat pranams to him. But the whole Govinda atmosphere where all the other people are there, it did not allow me to do that. So I just offered through a hand, but in my heart I could not stop myself. In my heart, in my mind, I offered a full pranams to him. So like that, Desha Kala Patra, we should see and we should accordingly act. Another important point is coming to me when Kunti Maharani is praying, Namo Pankajana Bhaya, Nama Pankajamaline, Nama Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangre. So she's seeing the beauty of Krishna. Namo Pankaja Nabhaya. So your Nabi is like the lotus because from the Nabi only lotus comes and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is, Brahma manifest. So Namo Pankaj Namaya, Nama Pankaj Maline. You are wearing a lotus garland. Namo Pankaj Netraya, your eyes are like lotus, and Nama Pankaj Angreye. Angre means the lotus feet. So Mother Kunti is offering first obeisances to the navel and to the garland, to the eyes, and then to the lotus feet. Prabhupada in the purport says that one should take darshan right from the lotus feet, going upwards till the one has the Mukharvind darshan, the beautiful darshan of the Lord's face, and then the fine features. Then why is Mother Kunti offering first having darshan directly of the Nabi and then the garland? Because Mother Kunti is very sensitive that if I offer first obeisances to the Lord's lotus feet, the Lord will feel a little uncomfortable because Mother Kunti is senior in one sense. She's the aunt of Krishna. I don't recollect what exactly relationship to speak in English. So that is why she's a little sensitive, and Krishna feel uncomfortable. So that's why she begins with the navel, the garland, the eyes, and then she comes down to the lotus feet. But for us, Prabhupada in the purport explains from the lotus feet we should go up. So like that Desha Kala Patra, we have to have that sensitivity. Is it clear, Mataji? Okay. Another question. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Dandavata Pranam, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, actually, I just wanted to ask, what should be the standard of deity worship at home, or should it be equal to the temple standards?
First thing you have to understand that the temple standards are more strict according to the Shastras. And we cannot have those standards at home. Because the deities at home have a different mood, because they are part of our personal deities. They are part of our family. So then in that sense, that strictness cannot be maintained firstly, and we should have a different mood at home. But having said that, how to practice deity worship at home, for that, you'll have to go to the temple to learn about deity worship in the temple. And the more you learn there, the more you can implement. But one thing you have to be very clear, the deities at home are our family members. And in family members, we have that relationship, and we should, have that mood where sometimes you might not be able to follow all the rules, you might transgress. But just like, Arjuna and Krishna had a friendship, and then Arjuna and Krishna used to sleep together, and then Arjuna used to pat Krishna, oh, mere yaar, what a nice thing you spoke, like that, because that deep friendship was there. But when he saw the Vishwarup, oh, I have committed this offense because of madness, pramada, pranaya, or out of love. So just like the father forgives the son and the lover forgives the beloved, so please forgive me. He's asking this, in the 11th chapter. So similarly, that mood should be there at home, that they are part of our family members. And sometimes we cannot have that strict standards, but ultimately we should also learn what are the highest standards in the temple. We take the knowledge, education, and then we try to implement it at home. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much.
Okay, so I will stop here because we have crossed the time. We have finished these 32 offenses. Now, the Seva approach to be avoided is in the Vara Puran. This is first 10, then it is 19, then it is 27, then that is 37. 37 plus 8 is 45, or it's 45 here. So 32 plus 45 is some different figure is coming up here, but let us see from there is one question by Vasant Naik Prabhuji. Yes, last question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat. Prabhuji,
Yes.
my question is this: if sometime we are wearing in the neck some deity like Jagannath or Narsimhadev, that what means there should be the offenses when we wearing, like we touch the hands, or that's
You mean a locket we wear of
yeah, locket,
Lord Jagannath? Oh,
yeah.
well, sometimes, I don't know why we wear that, first of all. You know, see the mood of Braj or Vrindavan, where, the Goswamis to carry the deities in their, hand, is to have that kind of a mood. So whether we are having that mood when we are having the locket, then, it is more worshipable than for us. But we don't have that mood, I feel. And that is why it is better to avoid. That's why it is better to avoid even having t-shirts nowadays with Jagannath and all these t-shirts. Because, if you go to the temple and offer dandavats, then, you're committing offense. Because, the Mahamantra is there sometimes. So that's why all these things have to be taken care. And merely, I think these are done today because of, that we have attraction for these things, and we want, to have these things or decorate with these things, but it is more of an external show. So we should avoid all these things, I feel. That's more important.
Yes, Prabhuji, clear. And Prabhuji,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one question for this Haridas Thakur. He's means he not doing the deity worship, or he means
Yeah.
I mean he
Haridas
stays.
Thakur is absorbed in Nam Bhajan, and he has never done deity worship in his life. But because the Lord is living in his heart, he has the knowledge, and that's why, because the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested him to speak on Seva Aparadh, he did not want to transgress that. Actually, the pujaris know about it, but I am, always absorbed in chanting. But still, you have asked, so I will speak. So the Lord is inspiring him to speak, and one who knows the Lord knows everything. So like that, Haridas Thakur is speaking in this case. Clear, no?
Yes, Prabhuji, clear. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we will stop here today. So we have finished the first 32 offenses in from the Padma Puran. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his this he doesn't mention. He speaks about the 32 offenses in deity worship, and yeah, same as there. One should not. Okay, I'm not sharing the screen. Sorry. One should not enter the temple in the deity in a car. Oh, it is here, see, or palanquin. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has modified it with the shoes on the feet. So maybe we should read this, then it will become more clear. I will just once again read in the next class this, and then we will go to the next list. Next list is quite huge. And after this list, there are some other now important points for sadhakas which will come up, that how the seva prads have to be avoided. Okay, we will stop here now and wind up. Shri Harinam Chintamani ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna.